Okay, so today I'm going to be presenting you with the idea that college is not needed for entrepreneurs. This is kind of like a contradicting thing that we hear because there's so much pressure from our parents and teachers that, you know, if you don't go to college, you're going to basically end up being a bum. But, you know, you have to fork up a lot of money that a lot of people don't really have. So my goal for this presentation is for you to kind of get the idea that there's other things that you can do with your money, and it's not, you know, like paramount that you have to go, and that you, if you don't, that you won't be successful. So that's kind of like the premise of the presentation. So here's some statistics that I found. 50% of college students never graduate, so that means if we all went to college in this class, half of us wouldn't even graduate. 80% of all college graduates in 2009 didn't have a job 5 months after. So, you know, the economy crashed, and especially right now, you know, everything's inflated. So you can imagine we're 18 years old, we go to college, we spend all this money, and you don't really know what's going to happen. So I feel like we kind of put all of our eggs into one basket to just count on, oh, I'm going to go get a degree, get a specialized degree, and I'm going to get a job, when that's not necessarily the case. 40% of college graduates work in professions that are unrelated to their major. So I don't know about you, but I know for my parents, they both majored in something that they don't even work. You know, their job doesn't even go with their major, so it doesn't really make any sense of people say you have to get a specialized job when, you know, you go get this major, you spend all this money, and it doesn't even go towards what you're actually going to be working for. And 64% of students drop out of school due to mental health. So this is kind of like a little graph here showing some anxiety, depression, and, you know, like knowing how, like, things that we hear in high school with like anxiety and depression, you can only imagine how worse it's going to be with the pressures of being in college, and especially when you're putting up all that money. Why are these statistics so relevant? Everyone pushes you to believe that if you don't go to college that you're not going to be successful. I know I hear this all the time at school. My parents put this pressure on me. I'm sure it's the same here. Especially, you know, ironically, we're in a dual credit class and I'm doing this presentation, but I assume that the majority of us are going to want to go to college. We end up pursuing a career that we aren't interested in because we're having all of these external pressures, and you're basically just going to end up working and doing something that you don't really love just because other people want you to do what's best, what they think is best for you, and that might necessarily not be the case. I think this is one of those things where it's all individual dependent. You know, some people have what it takes to start their own business and operate their own business, and some people are better being employees, like Robert Kiyosaki said, would you rather be an employee or an employer? And I know we've heard Elon Musk say this before, information is free. So basically what he's saying is, if you want to own your own business, with certain things, yes, it might help to have a college degree, but that's that external part of someone else is forcing you to learn, basically, forcing you to learn how to run a business. But if this is like something that you're serious about and you actually want to do, all this information is free, where you can go to the library, you can learn just about anything on your computer. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, then it's basically up to you. So how much does college really cost? According to collegeforless.com, the yearly average is $35,000, around there. So you can imagine, I mean, you know, that times 4 is around $140,000 for a bachelor's degree. And this is for Kentucky. The average person with a bachelor's degree makes $53,000 a year, which, you know, it being $35,000 a year, being possibly $140,000 in debt, that $53,000 is obviously not going to cover it. And the monthly payment is around $400 a month for those student debt. So what can you do with that money instead? So I did some math here. So that for 4 years, so it's $35,000 a year. That's $140,000 for basically for a bachelor's degree. So that's around 20% of $700,000. So what I did was I found this apartment complex somewhere in Louisville. So there's 10 units. It's 6 of the units. Yeah, so it's 1 bath, 1 bedroom, and then the other 2 bath, 2 bedrooms. So it's a total of 10 units. So you can see right here. Yeah, so it's a total of 10 units. And so it's $700,000. The mortgage is around, let's call it $4,000 just to make it easier. So it's $400,000 for the mortgage. And on the low end, you could rent out each one of these units for $1,000, especially more for the ones that are 2-bed, 2-bath. So you'd be making around, say, $10,000 a month. The mortgage is around $4,000, so that's $6,000 in passive income. And basically, the reason why I put this on here is to show that you could go into college, be spending 4 years of your life, and that $140,000 is a big number that we might not all have, but you can have private lenders and you can figure out how to get the money for this just like you would have to figure it out for college. And for me personally, it would make more sense to have an investment property than being in college for 4 years, spend 4 years of my life doing something that it's possibly not what I'm passionate about, or live in something like this. You could house hack this, you could live in one of the units, basically be living for free. That's $5,000 in passive income every month. So say if you have your own place and you just have that apartment unit, that's $6,000 in passive income every month. Times 12, that's $72,000 a year. Well, and then like I said previously, the average person with a bachelor's degree that graduates in Kentucky is $53,000 a year. So you can see how with that same amount of money that you're forking in the beginning, that you're having to put up in the beginning, you'd be in a much better position with this investment property than you would be going to college, and you could just repeat the process and use that passive income to invest in other properties. So basically, if there's anything you could get out of this presentation, this might not be for you, but just to understand that there's other things that you can do with your money. And if your parents are the ones pushing you to go to college, or teachers, or whoever it is, don't do something that's good for someone else. You have to have your best interest in mind, because at the end of the day, it's your future, it's what you want to do. So thank you. This is my presentation. These are my citations.